I foster very meaningful, deep relationships with my students. I think that some people are, have some questions about it, that why, I have a fourth grade student, she's a junior in college, and we're getting together this Saturday. We have traditions of doing vision boards together every year. We're very, very, very close, and we've had an impact on each other now, where we both now, we work as women now, like together. Like I am still her mentor, but it works vice versa, right? Because when the teacher, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up, and now it's almost the roles have reversed. And students, they ask me, let's go for on a walk, whatever they need, but I want to be there to hold the space, because they, as much as they get a benefit of having time with me, I get a benefit of having time with them.
Welcome to the Kindness Factor podcast, sharing life-changing personal stories of the transformational impact of deep kindness. Hosted by
Dr. Ilya, the happiness doctor,
and Randy McNeely, the kindness giver. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Kindness Factor podcast. I'm Randy McNeely, known as the kindness giver, and normally I'd be joined by my wonderful co-host, Dr. Ilya Gorgoris, the happiness doctor, but he had a personal emergency come up and he's not able to join us today. But I am thrilled to be able to share the mic today with a wonderful lady named Karolina Koppany, who is going to be sharing some amazing things with us today. And I want to share with you just a little bit more about Karolina. You know, she is an award-winning social and emotional learning educator, and she's also the recipient of the California East Bay Teacher of the Year Award back in 2015. In 2017, Karolina founded the New Way Young Entrepreneurs organization in Hungary. It's their first K-12 social and emotional learning curriculum. Karolina is the Associate Director of Employee Relations for the Kogod School of Business in Washington, D.C. And she's also an ICF accredited mindset coach who champions well-being, mental health, and self-care. In her free time, she loves to travel the globe. And when she's not traveling the globe, she likes to spend a lot of time with family and friends, or just go out and geek out in the gym. She really enjoys yoga, boxing, and squash. All of those things have a unique place in her heart. Karolina, I just want to say thank you so much for being willing to come on the show with us today.
It's an absolute honor. Thank you so much, Randy, for the invitation and for being here. And I'm thrilled to have this conversation with you about just a topic that's really important to us. And God, the world always needs some more kindness, doesn't it?
Boy, especially now with all the challenges that we're having, there never was a time when we needed more kindness and people willingness to set aside, division and embrace things that help us to be united. And we were so thrilled when we had the opportunity to get introduced to you, Karolina, and excited to have you come on the show for a multitude of reasons. But one of those reasons is because you yourself are a big kindness advocate. And that says to me that somewhere in there, someone played the role of a kindness hero for you. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to share the story of that person or someone who played the role of a kindness hero who had such an impact on you that it's actually driven you forward or driven you to pay it forward doing the things that you're doing now. Do you have a story like that you could share with us?
I do, Randy. I do. I think, maybe some people might also have this answer when they think of, who is your kindness hero? But to me, my mom is my hero in like all regards of life and just everything that she's done for me and my brother and for us. Single mom, raised us alone, and given us so much of the life that we have, even from, immigrating to the US in 1984 and that whole story and how we were taken in and how we got citizenship and how we were able to stay and build a life here. So she set me up on that trajectory. That's what I would say. And then my story into education begins that I would say, and my students will know this, my students then from 2009, since I've been in education, have had such a significant impact on my life. And they've taught me so much that kind of teaching kindness, teaching happiness, teaching the power of gratitude has been infused in what I've done for the past almost 15, 16 years. So maybe we'll get into that, maybe we won't, but it's going to be my mom for everything that she's done and the person that she is, because she always says it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not how you, it's always just how you treat people. And this takes nothing. and she just always reinforces that. So it's been ingrained in me from early childhood. And then the students, oh, Randy, have they just been special kindness heroes in my life? And they know who they are, very much so.
Well, so share with us just some of those little experiences that you had. Our audience loves to hear stories.
Yeah, so I was really lucky when I started teaching out. I started teaching out in Berkeley in California, and I was infused in the Greater Good Science Center, right? So like the Happiness Center, doing the work with them, some of the most brilliant minds, in the country, to be honest. And I'm not trying to, but truly, I do think and they're doing amazing things. And I just got really immersed in that work and met a ton of people who were kind of also on this mission to, spread kindness and happiness one person at a time. And so what I started doing and what I didn't notice that I was doing, that my classrooms had become happiness classrooms unintentionally, just somehow, like, we were the happy classes, we had happy agreements, we had grateful agreements, we had morning meetings, we had closing circles. Everything was focused around how are we feeling? Are we being kind to each other? How are we being kind? I had a 55 set of class rules almost as expectation. I would say 30 of those were focused on kindness and on little things such as, if I'm going to give you a piece of paper that could be your test and you're not saying thank you in 3 minutes or 3 seconds, 3 minutes, oh God, 3 seconds, then that paper is no longer going back to its owner. And I think you wanted to know the grade that you got on that test or that paper that you worked really hard on. So it was all these little things that then started to, build a company around that, gain some traction, kind of like parents got involved, faculty got involved, bigger audience got involved. And then that's how I think my journey towards social emotional learning then began. But the happiness classrooms back in Berkeley, starting from 2012, those were where it all started.
Now, so is this at the college level, or is this no, what grade, what level of students?
This was middle school, Randy. So
Oh my goodness.
this was at a middle school age, and they were so receptive to it. They were so receptive. They wanted to be kinder. All of the students wanted to be happy. And I vividly remember a student coming up to me one day and like saying that, that John Lennon quote that said
Yeah.
that some people, about like happiness, and just saying that, like, you guys think that you have the meaning of life, but actually the meaning of life is happiness. And some of these kids, and I was blown away that this is already the mindset of an 11-year-old who pretty much wants to be happy and knows that that's the game of life. Kids are the best. Kids are the best. They know it. So yeah, so this went on from a middle school level. It went on to a high school level. At a college level where I'm at Kogod now, this year is going to be the first year that we're actually doing a kindness week. I'm very happy, like with Kevin Smith and Kindness Worldwide, that we will be the first like school next to, there's another university, James Madison University, that actually does Kindness Week as well, but we're partnering, and I hope to infuse this into the DMV area.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and we're living in a time when there's so much division. We see the political divide, especially in an election year. And I'm not going to get into politics, but we just see the division that it causes. And well, we see what happened over the weekend. Somebody attempted to kill one of the candidates, former President Trump. And again, I don't want to make this a political discussion. I only bring those things up because it's an example of just where it's gotten to in this country and in the globe, really, that there never was a time that I can think of in my life, in my entire lifetime, that the need to stand up and speak out and step into kindness has been greater. And that's why, I love hearing you talk about the fact that when you're working with these middle schoolers, they're getting all excited about it. And it says something, younger kids, younger people have a tendency to be a little bit more malleable and more open to listening to and learning about those things, the behaviors by which we show value and appreciation. And they're all kindness behaviors. Everything we do that shows value and appreciation for ourselves and for others is kindness. And so it's beautiful to hear you talking about how these kids were open to that. And I firmly believe that kids are the ones that are the most open to it. And if we're be willing to teach them, it's amazing. You teach them when they're younger, they grow up that way. They get that kind of example. It's got to make you take pause, though. Makes me stop and take pause. What's happening in the homes of the people, or there's all this anger, and what's missing?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Randy, I think again, it's a great question. It's a complex question. I'm not sure, even though I've been in education for a long time, even though I have a background in counseling, even though I have a coaching degree, I think that falls under a bigger question, right? Because everything is conditioning. And so I'm not a therapist, and I'm not putting on that hat, or a social worker, or someone who's, licensed to be a medical health
Sure,
professional.
sure.
But everybody, and this is again, I think, taking a kindness approach, Randy, but everyone does the best with what they can. And
Yeah,
if, let's say, you didn't have parents who were, let's say you have parents who were working full time to provide for you, that's what they had to do. You never know what's going on in the background. And just having that compassion to say that they're doing the best that they can. So I do believe that actually educators, like we as educators, do have a big responsibility. Sure, there's this debate that, oh, well, why, it's not the teacher's job, or it's not that person's job, or it's the parent's job. No, it's a collective. It's all of our jobs, right? Like, it's all of our jobs to prepare the youth for a better tomorrow. And by the way, I want to say that I'm very excited about this new generation, kind of the Gen Z. People have their qualms about them. I love Gen Z, and they are going to take us into a whole new world. This is already happening. And specifically because when I work with the college students here, they will tell you that one of their main priorities in life now, and this is kind of that work-life balance, they want their well-being to be at the center of what they're doing. They don't want additional stress. They know that working out's really important. They know that sleeping is important. They know that consuming mass social media is not good for their mental health, for their physical health, for their emotional health. So it feels that this generation is onto it, or onto what excites me, because I think that this is the way to go. And I know that, like, I've built a company, I work a full-time, like, you can do all this and still remain to be grateful, still be kind to someone, still do a random act of kindness a day, still write in your 5-minute gratitude journal 5 things you're grateful for. These are all doable, and having that life, but it's going to make a significant impact on how you show up in the world, how you function in the world, and kind of how you shine your light in the world. Because people, I'm telling you, Randy, like a magnet, people are drawn to kindness. Look at us. All of us have this collective. We care about it. So kindness, we can spread it, and it is a movement, and it's here, and it's here to stay.
well, you think about it. I love what you just said, Carolina. I mean, you build a company. You've been able to have an impact and influence on these students that you're teaching, and they're having an impact and influence on you. And why is that? How is it that you've been able to do that? Well, you've built relationships that were based on kindness. You've showed value and appreciation for people. You show value and appreciation for these students. You exhibit multiple behaviors. You listen, you learn, you share. All those things are behaviors that are kindness based. They're embraced by the circle of kindness. And the more we put those behaviors into practice, like you just said, the more people are going to be attracted to us. People want to be around other people who make them feel good, who lift them up, who build their spirits. How many people like to be around people that look like they've been walking around all day sucking on a sour pickle? You meet those
Some
people.
people like pickles. You never
Yeah,
know,
well, I
Randy.
know, but
Some
you meet
people
those
love
people
pickles. You never
sometimes, but
know.
they're just there's people that sometimes for some reason they just feel like the only things that they can say or see is negative things, and nobody likes to be around that because it just brings you down. And so people, you hear the refrain in corporate world, if people know you, like you, and trust you, they want to work with you. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of people give lip service to that, but they don't actually put it into practice. It's only those people that really take that to heart and put it into practice that actually build up the relationships, the trusting relationships that lead to long-term success and happiness and hope and all those things. Love what you just said and shared. And that's something that can give us hope and encouragement, because the knowing that Gen Z, your experience with them, I take that at its face value, what you have just said, because you worked with them, them. I have a good friend of mine, a wonderful friend of mine named Steve Hitz, who has an organization called Launching Leaders Worldwide, and he works directly with Gen Z, and he has the same thing to say. That they really care. They're the ones that are going to make a big difference in this world. And I think the reality is working together with them, the older generations, younger generations, we can all get together and make a huge difference if we're willing to put in the effort. Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. We sincerely appreciate you. My friends, I firmly believe that every one of us has an inner kindness hero that is just waiting to be released every day. I'd like to give you a pathway for releasing yours. How? By helping us to flood the earth with as much kindness as possible, to create a global kindemic that spreads love, hope, and happiness. Like and subscribe to each of our social media channels listed in the description, and take out a subscription through Buzzsprout for as little as $10 per month. You can help us to continue to spread the kindemic by bringing you great content here and taking our transformative kindness message to a much broader global audience through the Kindness Factor Human Interest series. Release your inner kindness hero today. Thank you for your support.
And think about it. I mean, Randy, for us, like, we're at a business school, and I always tell students, kindness is the best business strategy. Because to think about it,
absolutely, I love that.
It's the best business strategy. It's the best business strategy. Think about the sun and the wind, and this and that. Like, when the sun and the wind are fighting, who's going to win at the end? The sun's always going to come out and shine. So you can go with it, and you can blow, and you can. But it's a lot of wasted energy. It is a lot of hassle. So kindness is the best business strategy. I've achieved more through kindness than through anything else. And this is coming from someone who set up a business, run a business through COVID, which was, again, just, a different time, and still, focuses and is on multiple committees and boards. Kindness is the best business strategy.
Well, you think about it. If you weren't kind, if you hadn't adopted that mantra, kindness is the best business strategy, where would you be today?
Life does work out, Randy, though. I also believe that life works out, but I know that I would not be the person that I am today. And these relationships, I foster very meaningful, deep relationships with my students. I think that some people are, have some questions about it, that why, I have a fourth grade student. She's a junior in college, and we're getting together this Saturday. We have traditions of doing vision boards together every year. We're very, very, very close. And we've had an impact on each other now, where we both now, we work as women now, like, together. Like, I am still her mentor, but it works vice versa, right? Because when the teacher, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up, and now it's almost the roles have reversed. And students, they ask me, let's go for on a walk, whatever they need, but I want to be there to hold the space, because as much as they get a benefit of having time with me, I get a benefit of having time with them. So it works out that way.
Yeah.
And these relationships matter to me more than anything. So I'm just very grateful for them and how they've shown up in my life and been a representation of things that matter to me.
Oh, and that's so beautiful. What that makes me think of is, I have a wonderful friend of mine. He's one of my heroes. He's one of my mentors. His name is Brian Crouch. He was my 7th grade social studies teacher.
Wow.
And, we've been friends for 45 years or 40 years, something like that. And the thing is, we still keep in touch. And I don't remember. The only thing I remember from his class, the actual, something that I remember watching Spartacus, the old Kirk Douglas movie from the 50s. I remember watching that class as part of his, that movie as part of his class. I don't remember really a whole lot about the things that he taught. What I do remember, though, is how I felt. I remember how he treated me, and particularly at that time in my life when I was going through, our family was going through some real challenges. My father had some issues, and anyway, there was a lot of things going on, and I didn't have very good self-esteem. In fact, I had lousy self-esteem, and being able to go to his class and come in there, and he was a first-year teacher. It was the very first. We were the first class he had ever taught outside of student teaching. But I remember coming into his class, and the way he treated us, the way he paid attention to us, the way he showed that he cared, I've never forgotten that. And that's why, I wanted to stay in touch with him. We stayed in touch all these years, and we still, we either text or call each other every few months. He lives, over in Idaho, and I live in Iowa, and we're a ways away from each other, but we still keep in touch on a regular basis. And it's amazing how that kindness, the kindness he showed me, and the kindness that you showed your students, they want to stay in touch with you because of that. They want to be around you because of that, and you want to be around them because of that. What a beautiful thing.
It's the
I
best
love.
feeling, Randy. And this is one of my favorite quotes in the world, and that's exactly what you're alluding to. The great Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
And that's absolutely.
That is, to me, one, like, I carry that on forever, and I remember it almost daily, and I use it daily because it is so true. And just that's why kindness is important. It's the best business strategy. It costs nothing, and you're going to get so much further in life. And guess what? You're probably going to be a little bit happier too. So, tons of added benefits.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about, when we recognize the fact that all the things that can come and do come as a result of treating people with respect, showing value and appreciation. People, that's where one of our last guests, a wonderful man named Sean Barrows, talked about how it spirals up. There's always a ripple effect. And think about, we're talking about decades of time. It's been 40 years since my experience, since I was in Brian Crouch's class. And yet the impact he had 40 years ago is still impacting me today. Think about, you said the young woman you were talking about was a fourth grade student, and now she's a full grown woman, and you work together and do things together. Think about that. That's decades of time. That just shows, again, I bring this up nearly every show, the power, the amazing power and impact that kindness has. Kindness is like a primer. It's like a primer. When your house, so you've got a new house and you've got to paint it. Before you put the real paint on, you have to put a primer on it in order to prepare the wood so that the paint will stick to it. Kindness is just like love's primer. Kindness, opens our hearts and prepares our hearts so that the love we feel when somebody is kind to us is going to stick. The love that somebody shows to us, gives to us, sticks there. It engraves it there. That's why I remember Brian Crouch so well. That's why I remember my wonderful, beautiful friend, Rochelle Knight, when I was in 8th grade. I've shared this story multiple times. She, I was going through a really challenging time. And I told her, I bet you think I'm pretty stupid, huh? And she didn't miss a beat. She responded back to me. She says, "Oh, no, I don't, Randy. I think you're pretty neat." And I needed to hear that. And I had no idea at the time how bad I needed to hear that. But I still remember that. I remember that experience. And that was 40 years ago. Anyway, so I love what you're talking about.
Yeah, Randy, what you're saying, it's really reminding me of that when we think about, there's so many times I like, what did I learn in college? What did I learn in high school? Or what, I don't remember these things. Like, someone will ask me, like, what was the content that you taught in that class in 5th or 6th grade? I can go back to it. I can pull it up. I can definitely found it, but it's the interactions that I remember, and it's the interactions that the students remember. They remember the colorful signs. They're actually all here at the office too. These inspirational quotes, they remember that. They remember that there was a random act of kindness wall that needed to be switched every 3 months because it was full and we would save it. They remember that we learned books specifically on kindness. They remember that this was something that was a core value of mine that was important because I wanted them, if nothing else, I didn't really care about their grades. Don't tell that to their parents, and especially not Berkeley and Palo Alto parents. And no, but there's pressure. There's pressure to do well, and Stanford's down the street. So there is pressure, but I said that I'm going to get them where they need to be, but don't interfere too much with how we get there. But I promise you the results are going to be there because they're going to be calmer and they're going to be focusing on really focusing on themselves, self-awareness, learning how they are. The gratitude practice, I think, is huge. It's fundamental to kind of how you live your life. And I would always tell them that things like if you fail a test, you're not going to die. Like nothing is going to happen. We're going to redo it. We're going to adjust. We're going to figure out what you missed, right? Like we're going to figure out what you missed. Where did something go wrong? Oh, I had crazy policies. I was like, if more than 3 people don't get, get a good grade, then I taught something like not well, and we're going to redo it. I was a different kind of educator, I think, and they'll remember that. But this was important to me. How are you feeling? How are you doing? What can we do to make you be feeling better if you're not feeling well? And we're here to support you all along the way. I for sure am. That was for sure.
Well, and see that beautiful thing you just said, we're here to support you. Think about the difference that makes in your life. I know when I feel supported, when I feel like somebody's got my back, it increases my confidence, it increases my courage, it increases my determination. And it helps me, it reminds me, I'm not alone. I've got people that are there for me. And so I can guarantee you the students in your class are never going to forget you, Karolina. They're never
That's
going to forget you.
Yeah.
They're
And if
never.
they do, it's okay, but I won't forget them, and
Yeah,
that's going to be okay. And that's going to be okay. And I think that now I have a focus on, mindset coaching and everything is, and they know that I was focused on happiness and mindset, right? Because it's not like, I have to go to school. You get to go to school.
yeah, exactly.
It's those little shifts of like, oh, I have to go to the gym. No, you really actually get to go to the gym. I have homework. Guess what? Well, it's better that like, do you want to work? Because like you can work. Like I can give you a job, but do you want to work or do you just want to finish your homework and go and play and do something else and live your best life? Like I
Yeah,
try to frame it in a way that like you will be able to
yeah.
work after 18 all your life. There is no need for that now, but this is your job right now and you have to do it. And so I think it's just these little mindset shifts and practicing kindness daily. It can change your life, and I'm going to be an advocate for that as much as I can. And I'm really curious to see how it here goes at Kogod this year. I think it's going to be fantastic because these students are all kind and they're all great, and they're all change makers too. So this is a perfect place to launch and pilot this, and I'm eager to be spearheading it this year.
Oh, wow. Well, Karolina, my goodness, we could talk for a long, long time. But we've gotten to that point where it's time to wrap up. And so what we normally do at this point is I wonder if you would be willing to share 3 little pearls of wisdom, 3 nuggets with our audience that they can take away and think about and ponder on today, and that can make a difference in their lives. You got 3 nuggets you can share with us?
I do. I'm usually I come prepared, or I think about things ahead of times, but I think to start with, first and foremost, when given the choice between being right or being kind, always choose kind. I think, secondly, I would say that kindness is not an act, it's a reflection of your soul, something to think about. And last but not least, we need to be kinder to each other. And I think that starts with being kinder to ourselves. So I'm going to leave it at that, Randy.
Simple, straight, forward, and effective. Powerful. Thank you so much, Karolina. And if our audience wants to reach out to you and get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
They can find me on my website, which is www.coachmisskmsk.com, and also LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. If anyone wants to reach out, that's a great place too as well. And thank you so much for this time, Randy, and for being here and to talk about something that is making the world a better place. And I'm grateful for people like you. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being willing to join us. And I want to just take a quick moment to invite our audience to stop today. After you listen to this, stop for just a few minutes and think about, what did you learn? How can I apply it to my life? What am I going to do about it? Just stop and think about those things. What have you learned today? How is it applicable to me? And what am I going to do about it? Because I can promise you that there are lots of nuggets that were shared, and there are things that you can take away that will make a difference in your life. And remember, as you go throughout your next week, with kindness, everybody wins.